Welcome to the Personal Trainer Hustle. Personal Trainer Hustle. If you didn't know, you do now.
Welcome back to the Personal Trainer Hustle podcast. My name is Sam Lopez. I am the host of the Personal Trainer Hustle podcast and also the owner of a private personal training studio in Los Angeles called Logic Fitness. So that is my main business. That is, I guess, what gives me some know-how and insight into how personal training and the business of personal training works. And so here we are recording again another episode of the Personal Trainer Hustle podcast, where we talk about the business side, the career side, the sales side of personal training. And sometimes we do these episodes called Q&As. That's when you guys send in your questions and I answer them in an episode. And so today we have one of those episodes, Q&A episode. This question is about starting your own mobile personal training business or an online business. And that's kind of the question that we're going to be getting into today. This could probably be 2 episodes, but we're going to try to do it in one. If I don't feel satisfied, we'll come back to it. But let's get into the question sent in by personal trainer and listener Daniel Thatcher. Daniel's question is, here we go again. What are the steps / best advice for starting a mobile personal training business and an online personal training business? Parentheses, I am 25 years old. Okay, 24 years old. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. I looked up a little too quickly. Okay, so Daniel, you're 24 years old. You're asking what are the steps, some advice on starting a mobile personal training business and online personal training business. Okay, so I'm going to right off the bat kind of narrow it down to, in my opinion, one of the things that you should focus on right now. I'm glad that you said that you were 24, actually, because this puts a lot of this into perspective for me. Because I once was 24 years old and I was hungry to start something, to start a career, to start a business, to do something right with my time, with my life, with my career. And I wanted to do everything. And in this question, I can see that in you as well, right? You want to do a mobile training and an online training, and you want advice on how to do it, and you're young and you're hungry. And I love that, but this is one of the dangers of wanting to do everything. Is most people that want to do everything, most people that are talented enough to do a lot of things, usually run into this thing called like analysis paralysis, right? Where because you want to do everything, sometimes you end up doing nothing, or sometimes you spread yourself too thin trying to start too many things. And what I'm going to tell you about business right now is that business, when you are unknown, when you are not somebody yet, you're not a brand, you're not a company yet, you're not known, you are a small fish in a giant pond, especially when it comes to training. You're a small fish in a giant pond. There are already gyms that are established that have been there for a while. There are studios like myself in my area that have been there for a while. So when you start, you're going to start just where I started, right? Nobody knows who you are, and you have to turn it into something that people can find. And when you're doing a little bit here, a little bit there, starting an online, starting an in-person, starting an in-home, starting a brand company, you're starting, let's say a podcast, a YouTube channel, because that's what a lot of people do. Starting a business and making it successful, starting and creating a name for yourself is going to be so difficult just for one brand, just for one company, just for one service, that my suggestion is the best way to achieve all of these things is to master one first. Why? Because when you master one business, when you master one thing, you will realize what it takes to make something known, what it takes to get clients, what it takes to grow a business, right? So if you're starting 2 businesses or 2 segments of a business, then what's happening is you're taking twice as long to figure something out because you're not gaining mastery of any one thing. So to answer your question, I'm just going to make a suggestion. Now, these rules can be somewhat applied to both because, again, once you understand how to build one thing, building other things is not as complicated. It's just learning some things about your new project but a lot of the old rules are exactly the same still. And so, what I'm going to suggest is that when it comes to learning about the online training stuff, I'm going to give you two episodes that I've already recorded. Episode 24. So this is only on the podcast feed, right? The platforms like Spotify, Apple, and anything like that. The podcast platform, it's audio only. This is episode 24. That episode I covered the pros and the cons of starting an online training business. So that's something that you guys can listen to if you want to dive deeper into that. Also, episode 112, somebody asked about starting an online nutrition company. And so I dove a little bit deeper into, um, just building something online and my takes on that. Okay, so I've built very few things online, but I have built a couple of things. But my main thing is a brick and mortar business, right? I have a gym, a location that I get people to come into and train with our trainers. That's what I do. And so because that worked for me, I'm going to give you my suggestion. Also, I've been in the field for a while. I've seen people come and go. I've seen people try to start online businesses. I've also seen people try to start mobile businesses. And so that's collecting all that. I'm going to give you my suggestion, and then I have 7 little points or advice that I'm going to give you around it. So, number one, I'm going to suggest that you start a mobile personal training business. Now, there are pros and cons to starting a mobile training business. One of the big cons is time. Okay. Time, it's going to require a lot of time to get from client to client. But what I'm going to say is don't even worry about that because you don't even have clients yet. That's why I want you to start a mobile training business, because you need to learn how to get clients and you need to learn how to become a trainer that actually trains people, right? That actually trains older people, younger people, maybe possibly injured people. You want to get some track record as to the amount of the results that you can get, right? Because I'm going to tell you something. I've trained people online. Training people online is harder than training people in person. And a lot of people want to skip the step of learning how to be a good personal trainer, right? It takes many years of in the field work, training people, training all sorts of body types, all sorts of goals, all sorts of, setbacks that people have, all sorts of personalities that people have, right? That takes years of training a lot of people so that you understand how personal training works. You become a good personal trainer. You know what it's like to service people. You know what it's like to sign people up, what it's like to get referrals, what it's like to get people to continue to train with you for a long period of time. All of those things are skills that can only be developed by doing the work of training individuals, right? It's not just saying, okay, do this many of this, do this many of this. There's so much more to actually being interacting with someone that you're not going to learn online. And so if you skip over learning how to be an actual trainer, you're going to be missing and you're going to have blind spots when it comes to the harder part, which is training online. And now the big exciting part about training online is the time saving factor, right? Most people that train online in the beginning, before you have a big vision for it, most trainers want to train online because they want to train from home. They want to be able to travel and have a business that they can do from wherever they are. And that's all well and good. But when you start there, it's going to prove a lot more complicated than if you start local. Local is going to give you a lot of advantages. It's going to give you a lot of, um, a cleaner, clearer path. And what we're going to talk about today is going to show you that path. Okay. So I have 7 points to show you exactly why this path is going to be more helpful for you in the beginning to learn how to build a business. And then once you do that, you can go online and try to do that. Um, but again, I find that most people that do online training, it's for selfish reasons because people aren't actually getting a better service from that trainer. And why? Because it requires becoming a great trainer before you can give a great service online as a personal trainer. So most trainers training online have already built a reputation. The ones that are successful, a lot of them never make it, but the ones that are successful have a brand recognition, a name, a sort of almost celebrity-esque thing to them that allows for people to want to train with them because um, they are like a brand, right? That people want to participate in. But most personal trainers are not that. And so even if you wanted to train online, you still have to reach people and get people to believe that your service is the one that they're going to want to be a part of, right? So you have to convince them that logging online and training with you virtually is better than going down the street and training with a local personal trainer that they can actually meet, talk to, call, go to lunch with, whatever it is, right? That could correct their form, that can, high five them in the middle of sets, right? So online, there's a detachment level to it. So there has to be an even higher desire to want to work with that person versus going online. Now, it does save people time and it saves you time, but the quality of the training and the brand has to be there, right? So again, there's no one right or wrong way to do it. There are plenty of successful online trainers, and there are plenty of in-person trainers that are successful. And also, there are plenty of unsuccessful in-person trainers, and there are plenty of trainers that try to do online that don't train anybody or never build an actual company. So this isn't about what you choose to do. It's about understanding how to build a business and a brand that you can now turn into whatever you want to turn it into. And that's really what this is about. But for me, I'm going to play it safe here and say the best thing that you can do is build a local business. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why off the bat. The hardest thing about building a business is going to be reaching an audience. Okay. When you go online, the internet space is gigantic. Okay. And trying to be noticed when you are brand new, you're young, you haven't built a business, you haven't been a trainer very long, you're going to jump in there and you're in a sea, a giant sea with a bunch of fish and a bunch of sharks, and you're just a little part of it. Now, can you stay in there long enough to become one of the big fish? You can. But the best strategy when you're new is to be a big fish in a small pond. How do you do that? How do you become a big fish in a small pond? Well, you start a local mobile personal training business where you can reach people in your community, right? So now you're one of the few trainers in this community for the few people that are here. And the best part is that you know where to find your community because they're going to be around, right? They're at your local coffee shop, they're shopping at your grocery store, right? They're going to the local park to go for a walk or to work out, right? So it's local. I mean, think about the things that you purchase every day, right? When you want to get coffee, groceries, take your car to the mechanic, when you go to the doctor, when you go to the gym and get a gym membership, everything that you do is probably somewhere that you can reach within a few minutes of driving, if not walking in your neighborhood. So you, as a mobile training business, now have to plant yourself like a local coffee shop, like a local grocery store. You are now the local trainer that comes to people and works them out. And that's going to give you a big advantage over trying to just figure out where your client are when they log onto the computer, right? Now, it's not to say you can't do that and master that, but you have to have an understanding of business and marketing and brand building in order to increase your likelihood of being successful online versus locally. The beautiful thing about being local is that you can reach your community and you can take control. You can take control of the reins of your business and say, we're going this way, we're going that way. Now, what I will say is when I say that, a lot of people feel offended or feel uncomfortable. Why? Because a lot of our community, a lot of our society likes to hide behind excuses and victimhood. And so when I say start a local business, you can just go out there and talk to people. What happens is now when you take that approach, there is no excuse because the power is in your hands and people don't like that because they want to have the excuse. Oh, I started online, but it's tough and it didn't work out. So it's easy to excuse yourself from the work and from the success that maybe you didn't find, right? But when you go local, now you have control. You can go and do something. You can pass out flyers. You can go to local businesses. You can do all these little things because you can go to the community because you are also in the community. And so it becomes an easier puzzle to solve. It gives you the power back to say, you know what, today I'm going to put in some work and you can have a list of things to do because it's local. You can physically go there instead of hoping that people find you online. You, when you're a local personal trainer, can go and find the people yourself. So it gives you power, but it also gives you responsibility and it gives you less excuses. And sometimes people don't like that. But if your goal is to be a successful mobile personal trainer, then you're going to put in the work because it's not about the excuse or the work, it's about the result. And so if you think about the results and if you want it bad enough, this is the best avenue to achieve that is to start a local mobile personal training service. So let's get into the 5 things that I want you to take note of, write down, study these things, implement these things, right? They're just 7 points, 7 tips. They're not all about business. Some of them are, some of them are just things that I would consider doing and thinking about. So they are about your business, but let's get into it. Let's just get into the 7 points I want to talk about today that I need you to really consider, write down, and study and implement when you start your mobile personal training business. So, number 1, what I need you to do is pick up at least one, if not multiple, but at least one business book and one marketing book. Okay. If you don't know where to start, I'll give you a simple one. And I didn't have it in my notes, but you can start with um, the Personal MBA. Okay. It's a white book with a little bit of blue on it. I don't know the author. It's not in front of me right now, but Personal MBA. Okay. And it's a crash course book on the most important things that you need to know about starting a business. So either that book or find another one or look for another suggestion or whatever. I don't care what you do, but pick up one book on business and then pick up another book on marketing. One of my favorite books on marketing, I've read this one a couple of times, but it's called the One Page Marketing Plan, I think. Again, I wish I had it in front of me, but it's a yellow book and it's a one-page marketing plan, something along those lines. Um, Maybe I can pull it up here, but that book um, is going to show you just how to think about marketing a little bit. Um, Nope, that's not it. I'm trying to pull it up, but I clicked on something else that has like conspiracies in it. You guys just wait up a little bit because I do want to give you the name of this marketing book. Yep, that's what it's called. Okay, so the marketing one is the One Page Marketing Plan. That's what it's called. And the author is Alan Dibb. Okay, so I just want to make sure I give you that. Um, Now, the point is not to read just these books, right? The point is to understand the lesson here. What's the lesson that I'm giving you? Point number 1. The lesson is I need you to shift just from thinking like a trainer to thinking like a marketer and a business person. And this advice goes to all of you guys listening, obviously, to the pod. One of the biggest mistakes that trainers make is only focusing on fitness and wondering later on why their squats don't sell training, why their program doesn't sell packages, why their fitness page doesn't get enough clicks, right? Why their phone number isn't really being called, right? Because that requires, right? When people call you, it's not because they saw you squatting, it's because they have to feel and understand a certain service, message, benefit that they're getting from you, and you have to find people where they are. So just reading one business book and one marketing book is going to help you start to understand how to get your name out there. Okay. And like I said, the best way to do it is to do it locally because you're going to be able to implement these ideas right off the back. So that's point number 1. Think about marketing, business, sales, even, right? I would even add one more bonus if you're really about it. You should pick up a sales book as well. One of my favorites, only because it was my first sales book, but it was the Little Red Book of Sales by Jeffrey Gitomer. If you want to add a third one and study that, I want you to think about studying these 3 books like you're getting a certification in fitness, right? Because that's the big issue that we have as trainers and really as any professional is we fall in love with the service, we fall in love with the product, but we don't fall in love with what sells the product to the public. And that is the other part of the equation, right? So even if you're a great trainer, if people don't hire you, then who can you help with those skills? So you have to have the skills not only to deliver the service, but you have to have the skills to build a system that brings clients to you and brings you to the awareness of the public, right? So that's another skill. And so take that very seriously if you want to be a mobile personal trainer. Number 2, I already kind of hinted at this, but number 2, you need to pick your local area. Why is this important? Because it's going to help you brand yourself, right? Like if it's something that you guys may notice, but our page at our gym has the city attached to the name of the gym. And we were able to fit that different names, different cities. It might not work, but we were able to have our gym name, Logic, and the city that we're in, right? Not just Los Angeles, because Los Angeles is too big. So it's more like the smaller city or the district that we're in, right? If you want to put it like that. So something you want to think about is if you have a district, a town, a city, a zip code that we have out here, right? Area codes that we have. Start thinking along those lines. Where people can, when they see the name or when they see what you do, they know the area that you work. Now, why is the area important? Because you're going to be a mobile trainer. If you go too wide, you're going to waste a lot of time. Let's say you have one client on the east side of town, and then right after that, you finally get another client on the west side of town, right? Or too far away. It's going to be way too long of a drive. You're wasting a lot of time where you could have fit another client in, right? So that's also important. It's going to save you time instead of driving miles and miles and miles. You're going to have a brand that people recognize in their town. Like I said earlier, right? Like the local coffee shop that everybody knows, like the local landmark, like the local grocery store, like the local car shop, like the local gyms, right? The local donut shop, whatever it is that that we know where it is in our town. You need to realize that you want to own an area. And we're going to jump into number 3, right? So I'm just giving you that to think about, right? Having an area allows you to be a local business in that area. Even if you're mobile, you're still a local business, and it's going to help you start to build the infrastructure around your business when it's necessary for people to know where you are, right? So if I give you guys an example, right? Um, my business is Sam's personal training, right? And I put that everywhere. When somebody reads Sam's personal training, they have to take one more step to figure out who does he train, where does he train, can he reach me, can I reach him, right? But if I'm Sam's Los Angeles training, then people, when they read it, they know that it's Sam in LA, right? Sam in LA gets you fit or something like that, right? So even though it doesn't sound like a super cool name off the bat, the most important thing is that when somebody reads that brand, they have to take less steps in figuring out what it is that person does and where that person is should I want their services, right? Because it's an online business. Because it's a mobile training business, people have to kind of understand where you're at, because you're not like a local coffee shop that's there all the time that people drive by, right? So the moment they come in contact with it, they need to know that it's nearby. But also, we're going to take it one step further. Part number three. Part number 3 is also your website and your search engine optimization, right? So if you have a website, you want to also in every website, for those of you guys that maybe haven't built a website, or maybe you have, you know this, but in every website there are key phrases and words that website is going to ask you to input. And so what this does is it helps the algorithm show local people where local things are. So we use this every day, right? We go on Google and we type, Thai food near me, best Thai food near me. We type 5-star restaurant near me, right? 5-star Italian restaurant, right? Best places to eat in blank, right? So whatever it is that we type in, the algorithm, right? The computer system has to figure out how to give that person what they're looking for to the best of the system's ability. On the other end, those businesses have the option and the opportunity to type those words in that the people looking for them may be typing in. And so, again, this is where having an area that you service as a mobile trainer is going to pay dividends in the long run. This is setting up your business to be successful in the long run. This is what I did with my business locally, right? Even when we started, when nobody was finding us, I still had those keywords that I knew eventually people were going to type in the neighborhood, and eventually the algorithm would start showing us higher and higher and higher based on these words that people were looking for in their local gym community, local personal trainer, things like that. And so for you, if you're building a website, if you're building a brand, you want to have words that people are going to look into. You want to have an area that people are going to look into. So again, understanding the area allows you to use that town name, that zip code, local streets, whatever it is, words that people that it's going to start to condense and isolate you as that option for them in their neighborhood, right? But if you go too wide, or if you're not picking an area that you're going to be working in, then that becomes a lot harder, because now the system doesn't know where to put you as efficiently. And so it's going to take more and more work, longer and longer time, bigger and bigger brand recognition for people to know exactly what you do, where you are, and how to find you, how to contact you. If you bring it down to your local area, it's going to help you a lot. Now, you can always expand later. I'm not trying to say like keep your business small. You can always turn that into online later. You can always expand it into other cities and towns later, other states, other countries. You can do that later, but you need to learn everything as a small business starting off. You should learn everything locally, right? Because if you can do it locally, then you can expand. But if you start too wide, it's going to be a lot harder for people to find you. You're going to run out of time before you reach some levels of success, or at least some signs that you're moving forward. So when you start local, you can start to see signs that you're moving forward. But I put website and SEO, right, search engine optimization, as number 3, because I want to make sure that we jump ahead a little bit and you start setting up your business for success a year, 2, 3 years from now, where those keywords are already, the computer now has been running 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of putting those words into Google, into whatever the search engine is, to start showing you at the top. So eventually what'll happen is, after all of the years that I've had my business, now when people go looking for a trainer, looking for a gym, looking for a studio nearby in within the area, um our gym shows up as an option because other people also chose this option in the past. Now we have reviews, we have the algorithm, we have the time that we've been around, so we've built an infrastructure around it, so people locally find the local gym. And now this is the thing that we all hope happens in the beginning, but it doesn't work that way. It only happens after a long time of putting in work. Now people call us. Now people email us. Now people walk to us and refer us, right? It has flipped. But in the beginning, we had to go out and make the public know our name. But the search engine words were already put in place before. So after a while, we started gaining traction in that area. Number 4, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, right? Number 4 is your social tags and pages, right? So this is your media presence, right? Maybe you have a social media page, an Instagram, a Twitter, a YouTube, whatever it is that you want to use to kind of put your name out there and put, some content out there to let people know what you do and that you exist. Again, knowing the area that you service, knowing what your long-term plan is going to help you build those pages and talk to your community, maybe even film in certain landmarks in your community, right? So knowing that you want people to understand where you are changes the way that you're going to look at your social media, right? So maybe you want to do things at a local park, a local landmark. You want to have a name that lets them know that you're the trainer in this area, right? So again, it all comes back to building a business. Even though it's online, or even though it's mobile, you still want to be able to let them know exactly where they can find you, who you're servicing, what you do. And so knowing the area, that's why I put area as number 2, because by the time you build up your social presence, you want to make sure that you are putting that out there. I can't tell you guys how many times I see advertisements that you can tell that they're high quality ads. Somebody probably paid a production company to make an advertisement for them, right? The video, the quality, the transitions, the music, the angles, right? The video quality, it's all there. It looks amazing. But when the ad ends, I don't know who to call. I don't know if it's a free class. I don't know if I'm supposed to sign up for a month. I don't know if this is across the town. I don't know if this is another state. I don't know if this is in another country. I don't know, because all I know is that I saw people working out and it looks cool, but I don't know where it is. And so now I have to take one more step to figure out where they are, which a lot of people don't, right? Part of business, and what you'll learn when you start learning business, is you want to you want to streamline things as much as possible. People don't want to be clicking around a lot. They want to get as much information as fast as possible to make a decision, so that the next phase that they go into, they are already more educated on what's going on, and they've already started to decide what they're going to do. So again, having social tags, having pages that also speak to that truth of what you do, who you are, where you are, how to contact you, why they should contact you, all of those things are part of your framework and part of the structure of your business. So that's one thing that you want to do. Number five, now we're just getting into simple logistic stuff. Okay. Number five, just advertising your gym. Um, Again, you can use your car. That's such an easy thing to do. Now, I understand maybe when you're starting off, you have an older car, things like that. We're going to get into other things, but it's such a simple thing to do. You can put order a magnet online and have your social tags on there. I have followed people. Sometimes I'm driving behind them and they have their fitness Instagram. I'm like, oh, who are they? And I look them up. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I should follow them. They're local, So you can use your car to advertise. Number six, being local again, because this is all about being a local mobile trainer, right? If you're a local mobile trainer, number one, when you advertise in your car, you're in the same community, right? So people know that you're there. And again, you bring that back. You can make sure that your magnet or your sticker or whatever you put on your car lets people know the areas that you service, right? That's super important when you have a mobile training service. Another thing you can do is you can go to local businesses and drop off flyers. Maybe ask them if you can put a flyer on their window or if you could do some type of cross promoting. I've done other episodes talking about, kind of helping each other out with businesses and local businesses. You can leave some promotional products on their table, right? Whatever it is. Another advice that I would say is if you're a mobile personal trainer, get out there and go to where people are, right? So you can go to businesses, and I guess I should have called number three, go to where people are, because I'm going to give you a couple other ideas. But the great thing about being local is you can also go to your local businesses, but you can also go to local workout spots, right? I always say this. This is the beauty of being a local mobile personal trainer versus online training, right? When you're a local mobile personal trainer, you can go to, let's say you're by the beach and people go for a walk at the beach. You can go to the beach and hand out material to people. You can put up a sign, you can put up a tent. You can also join local farmers markets, right? It allows you to say, hey, I'm a local business. Can I be part of the farmers market? And then you put your name out there again. You can go, let's say there's a popular area with stairs where people go and work out there. You can go and set up a table, take some material, take some free product, whatever it is, and give people, postcards, business cards, flyers, discount cards, whatever it is that you're going to do to promote yourself, right? Where people go, right? People that want to lose weight are working out where? Oh, they're walking at the park. They're at the school after school, walking on laps around the track. They are going to get nutritious food at the local healthy food shop. They are going to buy supplements at the local supplement shop. They're going to blah 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 blah, right? So now you can think like your potential client thinks, right? Where is your potential client in your neighborhood? They are where people go to get supplements, to get healthy food, and to work out. And so if you know that, you can make your day productive because now, even though you don't have a location, you're still going to the locations where potential customers go. And now it's up to you to put in that footwork, right? That daily grind to give as many people an opportunity to meet you as possible. And there's many different ways you can do that, right? So I'm just rattling them off, but I need you guys to write it down and say, where can I go? Where can I go to let people know I'm here? You can't just sit at home online hoping that people find you. That comes later, right? Like for me, you guys have found this podcast, right? And more people constantly find the pod. More and more people send in their questions, right? We have other projects that I want to get into. But before I did this, I built a real business where nobody knew who I was. I wasn't sitting at home putting out a message. I was out there handing, flyers and coupons to my local business every day until I built enough of those that then my website grew, then the presence grew, then we hired more people, then there was referrals, then now there's a brand and now it's working in my favor. So now I can do a project like this where I can sit around and wait for people to find what I do. But I couldn't start here, right? We've been doing this for over a year. I can't start here, right? It's taken a long time for it to gain traction. More and more people find it, more and more people share it, more and more people leave reviews, right? And it's gaining traction, but that's because this is like an online product. You guys are listening to me via the internet, right? I can't go and find you guys. You guys have to find the podcast. You guys have to find an episode that brings you in and you go, okay, shit, this is what I needed to learn. This is what I needed to know. Let me keep up with this podcast, right? And then eventually let me send in a question, see if I can get an answer to this. And we build a community online. But this takes way longer than if and when you build a local business. When I built my first business that allows me to have a podcast is first a real business in the community. Once I built that, then I went online. It's because now there's not a lot riding on this online thing, right? And I have the time to do it because I built a real physical thing first. And also, and this is the more powerful thing, I can be online and I can talk to you guys because everything that I'm sharing, I learned by doing the real work first. Only after I built the thing can I now come back and talk about it. Right. And a lot of people want to jump that step. Just like I said to you earlier, you want to be an online trainer, but that's harder than being a local trainer. So why are we skipping over being a local trainer? Right. If you skip over, you're only making your life harder. Right. So unless you have the time, unless you already have savings, unless you already have a local business, unless you have a job and you want to start online on the side, unless you have a thing built, then first thing you do is you have to build the first solid foundation. And usually being a local trainer is that thing. Now, long-term thinking, you can have long-term plans. And this is an episode for another day, I would say, but sometimes we get stuck. Once we have 5 clients local, we're good, we're set. We forget that we wanted to be an online trainer. We forget that we wanted to hire people. We forget that we wanted to open a location. So that's just something I'm going to throw in there because it's on my mind, but I just see that happens a lot. So depending on your goals, that's how far you're going to take this thing. But point number 6 was go to your local businesses, go to your local workout areas, go to your local healthy food places, go to your local supplement shops, right? Just start thinking, where do people that are trying to get in better shape, that are concerned about their health, where do they go and how can I make a connection in that area? And what can I do for them? Number 7, this is something that I've always thought, if I started over, this is something that I would do. You can start a inexpensive or even free boot camp at the park. Okay. Why? Because having a boot camp is an easy way to save time, right? So what's the beauty of a boot camp? You're going to have a few people in a group and you set the time, right? When you're a personal trainer, you kind of move the schedule around based on them, right? They want to train at 9, another one wants to train at 1, and you make yourself available. When you start a boot camp, you set the time, right? But boot camps are usually not, you know, it's not the same as personal training. So I'm not saying go and start a bunch of boot camps, even though that is also um, a possibility, and a great business model as well, maybe even better than personal training in some areas. Um, but if you want to have one-on-one clients, sometimes a good way to start meeting local people and a good way to connect with people, if you're feeling like it's hard to get them to just commit to personal training, right? They just met you, they're not sure. Um, what you can do is pick a local park. Some cities, some states have certain regulations, some don't. You have to kind of figure that out for yourself. But you start a local boot camp, and it can be free. It can be specialized, right? You can have fun with it. Maybe it's just for moms. It's for moms and their babies. It's only for guys. It's martial arts, fitness. It's whatever it is, right? For people over 40, for people in college, right? Local college boot camp. I don't know, right? That is up to you. Or it could just be general boot camp, right? It doesn't matter. But you can start something and you can do it one time a week, on a Friday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, right? I mean, you can pick, right? But I would do a weekend or one evening or whatever. And then I would make flyers and coupons for the boot camp. And so I would get people to come and maybe for free, hey, free 30-minute boot camp every Saturday at 9 a.m., right? At this park. And so I go to that park, I invite people throughout the whole week. And that allows me to connect with people. That allows people to meet me. Maybe when I invite someone to the boot camp, they ask me what I do. And then they say, I can't come to boot camp, but I would like to try a training session with you. Well, at the end of the day, I got the same thing that I was looking for anyway, which is a connection with someone, right? But the local boot camp allows you to promote a specific day, a specific time, a specific thing. And it's a low barrier of entry. So if you make it free or if you make it very inexpensive, people are more likely to try it without feeling like they're making some type of commitment, right? So again, it's pros and cons. In the beginning, sometimes you have to do cheap things and free things. I know you guys sometimes you'll hear the opposite, right? People will give you advice and say, "Oh, never lessen your product, never lessen your services," and that is true to a certain degree. But at the same time, when you're starting off, you just want people to try it. And so, you're not making money. You're not known. You have no name in the community. You have no brand yet, right? You have no popularity yet. You have no clients yet. And so if you decide, well, the first client I get has to sign up at my top price, um, you're only making it a little bit harder on yourself. Now, if you manage to do that, that's great. Some people have that ability from the beginning, but if you guys are like me and you guys are listeners to this podcast, you'll know that I'm trying to do it as realistically as possible so that you can actually get to where you want to go. And so I would rather you have three people in a boot camp paying $10 than one person that comes 5 months later that pays $50 for that same boot camp, right? Because now it's taken you 3 months, 6 months to get one person. I would rather you get three the first week. And that's going to build up confidence. That's going to get you training. That's going to get people to see you working out. Because that's another thing, right? Even if the person doesn't pay for the boot camp, it shows everyone else at the park at that same time, that same hour. It shows them what you do, what it's like to work out with you, your vibe, your training session. It shows that other people are happy being a part of it. It shows that other people trust you with their fitness and their workout. And so maybe somebody else comes over and asks you for your services that didn't even come to the boot camp, but you're using it as showmanship to show other people. So, and then maybe even the people that show up to the boot camp, you have a conversation with them about their diet, about their health, about their strength training program. And you say, hey, why don't we do a free consultation during the week? I'll come to you or we can meet here and it'll be private just for you and see how you like that. If not, you can always do the free boot camp. But, my service is to help you with, A, B, C, D. And that's the full actual service besides the boot camp. And that you can use that as a tool to promote yourself locally and put yourself out in the community, because that's really what being a mobile personal trainer is all about, is putting yourself out there into the community, and that's going to help you succeed. So that was point number 7. That is those are the main things that I want you to really think about as you're starting this mobile training business. If that's the route you're going to go, you asked me for my advice, that would be my advice. um, Online is a little different. I gave you the 2 other episodes you can listen to, episode 24, episode 112. That's going to give you just some other points on the online stuff. But like I said when I opened today's podcast, it's already hard enough to be successful in one business when you're new, when it's all new, right? You just got certified as a trainer, or you've been training at a local gym for a while and you're trying to make this transition into mobile training. It's already going to be more difficult than you thought, right? I know that because I've been through it, right? So learning how to funnel people, right, into your website, into your social media pages, being in the community, being out there, putting in the legwork, right, moving. I would say this is my goal for you. I would say pick one thing that you're going to do from the things we talked about today, and just do it every day, right? So if you're going to go to businesses, say week 1, I'm going to go to all the businesses. Week 2, I'm going to go to all the parks. Week 3, I'm going to go to all the food places, whatever it is. But what the hardest thing that's going to the thing that is going to be the hardest, and I've talked about this many times before, is the first day that you actually get your butt out of your apartment or your house. The first day that you drive to a park, the first day that you drive to your local businesses, the first business that you walk, that is the absolute hardest part, is the first one, because you don't know what's going to happen and you're a little worried. But I'll tell you this, most people don't succeed because they cannot overcome that. So if you can just overcome everything that's trying to keep you home, right? If you can overcome the distractions, if you can overcome the fears, if you can overcome the hesitation, and you can just suck it up and say, "Ooh, I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to the park and handing out a coupon. Ooh, I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to go into my first business and ask them if I can leave cards there." The worst that can happen is they'll say no. The best that can happen is and you take that breath and you start moving your feet. The day you start moving your feet, that day, a lot of things are going to change for you for the better, because that's the hardest part about business, is being proactive. It's the absolute hardest. Everyone wants to have a business because they think money comes to them. It's the exact opposite, especially in the beginning, especially the first few years. You have to make it happen. It's not going to come to you. Everybody looks at the business person that eventually things come to them, right? It happens to me every once in a while. People are like, oh, you didn't go in to do any sessions today, or you didn't go into your gym today. Yes, but that's after many, many years of being there 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, every single weekend, right? Like, people don't see the work that you had to put in first. They only see things now, right? Like, this guy's on a podcast and he has a business, and I'm going to start a business so that I could start a podcast so that I could be home. It's not how it works. Nobody sees the work. Like right now, Daniel that sent in the question, nobody's going to see all the businesses, all the parks, all the coupons, all the flyers, all the phone calls, all the farmers market, all the rejections, all the failed boot camps. Nobody's going to see you do that. Okay? You just have to do it. No matter what, you have to get out there and you have to talk to people. And some people will say yes, some people will say no. You have to get one client. You have to get two clients. You have to lose two clients. Then you have to get two clients back. You have to do that. You have to do the dirty, grindy work in the beginning until eventually people know you and they think that it was easy. That's just the nature of being in business and starting a business for yourself, or being even a CEO, a manager, a president of a company. Nobody sees what it takes to get there. That's why everybody looks at leaders, CEOs, owners, entrepreneurs. They always see them as like a bad person, right? Because they see what happens later. They're like, well, this person made $1 million and blah, 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 blah. You don't know what it takes in the beginning to earn that position later on. And so right now, what you have to worry about is just getting out there, talking to people, and getting yourself at least one client so you can learn how that works. I always say, if you can learn how to get one client from nothing, and not just luck, but you actually made it happen. I went to 3 local businesses, I put it out there and I got one. Now you know how to duplicate it for 2. And then you went to a local park and you started a boot camp and it took you 2 weeks to get a person. Well, now you know it takes 2 weeks for one, it takes 2 weeks for two, it takes 2 weeks for three, but at least you know the formula. That's the most important thing. And with time, you fine tune it. Dude, you get smarter, you get better, you get sharper. It's like an athlete, right? An athlete when they start versus when they're on the field playing for a Super Bowl or for a championship of any kind. You're looking at someone who does the same things a beginner does, but they've done it so much that they're absolutely sharp with it, right? They make less mistakes. They see things coming before they do. They have shortcuts to figure out how to do this better, right? A little kid playing football at the park catches a football just like a professional catches a football. That part of the game doesn't change. But the competition, the speed, the accuracy, the planning, the predicting, the seeing the whole thing, right? The strategy, all of that is what changes. And so in business, it's the same thing. You're always going to have to meet new people. You're always going to have to give them the best service that you can. You're always going to have to promote your name out there. What'll change is your efficiency in doing it, but it's only going to come through putting in all the years that it takes to become a professional, right? Think about anything in the world, right? Oh, mic went down. The Olympics are happening right now, right? And everybody's watching the best of the best do what they do and compete against other people that are the best. But think about the amount of time and effort and pain that they put in when they were home, right? We see them now, but we don't see them training. And so it's the same rules of life. I'm just rambling on now, but it's the same thing. You got to put in the work so that the day comes where people will see what you built. But until then, nobody will. You cannot expect people to feel bad for you. You cannot expect people to be happy for you. You have to do it for the sake of building your own business. That's it. That has to be the target. What you get from your own business is what you're working for. Now, whether people appreciate it or not, whether people tease you about it or not, whether people agree with it or not, whether people praise you or not, whether people tease you or not, that is irrelevant. If you want to be and start a business, you should go for it. And I'll tell you this is specifically for Daniel, 24 years old. You're just starting off. The very first time I dabbled in business, I was 25. Okay. So I would say you're at a great age to start thinking about it. But this is a big but, especially for you and for anybody that's a youngster trying to do this. You're going to give up a little bit of fun. You have to. You're going to give up a lot of time, but this is the best time to do it, because eventually when you're in your 30s, for those of you guys watching on the pod, I can be home talking to you guys and things are moving along, right? So I'm still a fairly young person. You're even younger. If you put in a solid 5 years, you won't even be 30 yet, and you can build something significant, right? You have time on your side. What a lot of people don't understand, when you're in your 20s, a lot of people waste a lot of time, right? Because when you're young, you think, shit, man, I'm running out of time. I got to do something. And the desperation is good, man. Like when I was 25, I thought, fuck, I'm old. I need to start something. I need to do something with my life. And then I realized after all these years of being in business, I realized, shit, I always had time. I could have relaxed a little bit, but you need to be desperate. But one thing that you have that a lot of people are not going to have right now listening to this pod is that you have time on your side. Now, it's a slippery slope because you have time, most people waste the time. But the few that are smart enough to understand, I'm going to use this to my advantage, because by the time I'm 27, I could fucking be way ahead of everyone. And then the rest of my life is going to be pretty sweet because I started something real, something solid, something local, something tangible, because I started that, right? Because this is the big, um, I guess, like, how do I want to phrase this? It's like a trick or like a lie. You got to be careful, dude. When you are young, a lot of young people care to look rich. That's the biggest mistake a lot of people in general make, and a lot of young people. So what happens is, the moment that you can, you're going to do everything you can to get a car, or to get a flight, or to get clothing, or to get something that shows I'm a business person, I'm successful, right? But the moment you fall into that trap, you're not putting in the work, and you're wasting energy and money that you could reinvest to turn it into a bigger thing. So that's why I said you have to become a business person as well. And if you do that, you're going to enjoy a lot more of your success than trying to celebrate too early, right? You're not even doing anything yet. A lot of people, I can't tell you how many people I see celebrate and they haven't even really built anything significant, right? I got one client, let's celebrate, right? I hit one goal, let's celebrate. I lost 1 pound, let's celebrate, right? I didn't hit my goals, but it's my birthday, let's celebrate, right? And people celebrate constantly, and they're not really moving forward and doing anything. And what'll happen is eventually, you're gonna feel too old to take a risk, you know. Um, you're going to have other responsibilities, right? I tell people this all the time. I was like, one of my best assets that I had was that I didn't jump into responsibilities, right? I didn't jump into getting married. I didn't jump into having children. I didn't jump into buying a house. I didn't jump into any of that early. I put all of my energy, all of my money, all of my time into building the infrastructure that could sustain all of that later on in life. And so that would be my best, just personal, like, life advice, after everything we talked about today, just as a business person, and as you guys listening, thinking about starting a local business. Stop thinking that it's all flashy. It's about having something real, that you can say, this name right here means this name provides this for people, right? All business is giving somebody something that's going to help them, save time, feel better, whatever. There's a bunch of things that you give, but it has to give somebody something, and if it doesn't give them anything, if it's just for you, then you don't have a business. So this is your business. You're going to be a mobile trainer, and you're going to help the people in your community get the best results, and be happy, and keep hiring you, and bring you other people. And eventually, then you decide what you do after that, right? I started by getting one client, right? And then I kept going, and then I had to figure out, what do I do with the extra clients? I was like, well, I'm going to open up a gym and hire people. And then I'm going to fill up one trainer's schedule. And then I'm going to keep being good at what I do and keep growing. And then I'm going to fill up another trainer's schedule, right? So what people don't realize is, because you built a real business, because I never stopped learning how to acquire a client and how to help others service those clients, right? That's how we keep going, right? So the business is beyond me at this point. Just if I can give you like a look into the future, right? I'm not the biggest name out there. Um, but my gym and my skills and my hard work over so long generate enough clients that there's no way that I could train all of them. It's impossible. I would not have enough hours in the day to train all the people that come to our gym, right? So what happens? It opens opportunities for other people. It obviously, it's other responsibilities, but it also helps me grow as a person. It makes me more responsible. It allows other trainers to also, be personal trainers, and pursue their careers and their dreams. So things can keep moving forward, right? When I started, I didn't know that I'd be here sharing a message with you guys, but here I am, right? Because things keep growing, things keep evolving. When your mission is to continue to provide people with something that is of benefit of them. So you're just starting off. Your only goal right now when you're starting off is you need to figure out how to get one client by using a method that you intended to use. That's the difference, right? Because if somebody just happens to find you, you can't bank on luck. So what I'm saying is if you can learn how to get one client based on a system that you implemented, right? I handed out 50 coupons at the park and one person tried my training. That's a system because now it's duplicatable. And that's what you need to learn right now. How can you have strategies that you can implement that you can duplicate? So once you know that, right? Once you know that, when I drive around with my car sticker, I get one call a month or one call a week or one call a day or whatever it is, then you can start to understand that that's one source of revenue, right? One source of leads. And then you try your social media and maybe you run social media ads eventually. And then, and then you just start kind of paying attention to how clients are coming in and you lean into the ones that are working and expand on that, right? But you have to figure out a couple of systems to acquiring clients right now. That's the name of the game. It's not just being a trainer and it's not just slapping a sticker on your car. It's paying attention to the system and what you did to cause a reaction, right? It's cause and effect, action, reaction. What did you do to cause that person to call you? What did you do to get that person to follow you? What did you do to get that person to message you? Right? What did you do for that person to take that coupon? What did you do to get that person to show up to the boot camp? What did you do to get a referral? What did you do? And you have to be able to say that. And when you say that, now you have an understanding of how your business works. If you cannot answer those questions, what do you do to get a client? If you don't know that, then you don't really have a business. You're guessing and you're hoping. And this isn't going to happen just based off of hope. You do have to have faith. You have to have belief. You do have to hope for the best. But hope alone, without all the work and without being able to point to what you do, is a very, very slippery slope. It's a very risky thing that you're doing when you're just hoping that things happen. You have to make things happen and learn how to make things happen. So that is our Q&A episode for the day. I appreciate you guys listening in, following the podcast, leaving those 5-star reviews. Every time I see that, again, it's just motivation to keep going, to keep seeing this whole thing grow. And yeah, what else? Send in your questions, personaltrainerhustle.com. That's how this question was sent in. So you guys can also go in, send in a question. Some of you guys that have already sent questions, there's no reason why you can't send in a follow-up question. I've gotten a couple of follow-up questions from some people right after they hear the answer on the pod. They're like, oh, they say thanks, and then they sometimes send another update sometimes. I got an update recently from listener Oscar in the UK. We just did his Q&A, and he sent me an email letting me know that, he's landed a job at a gym even before being certified. So we're going to get back into an episode about that response. So I get those as well. You guys can send those if you want to update me on what's been going on. You can do that as well. That's always awesome to just hear how the implementation of the things that we talk about here are helping you guys out. So that helps me understand better. And also maybe, it can motivate some new episodes as to what we need to focus on for you guys. So send in your questions, send in your updates if you'd like. And that's what Personal Trainer Hustle is there for. So you guys can always go to the website. I need to work on that website, y'all, because as of now, I've just left it there just so you guys can send in questions and so you guys can get a personal trainer uniform shirt. That's about it. So for somebody that has built a website for my own business, I sure as hell have not done a good job putting this website together. But you guys are still going to personaltrainerhustle.com. So I appreciate that. You guys are still sending your questions. And really, that was my main purpose in putting that website together, was just to connect with you guys, to hear from you guys, to get your questions so that we can keep putting content out there that is helpful for the person sending in the question, but also just for all the other personal trainers trying to develop their personal training career and reach for your dreams, So I know I have, and I'm grateful, and I'm just trying to give back to you guys at this point. So I appreciate everyone for listening. and we'll talk soon.